Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are taking our very first look at the new Tier 8 German premium campaign ship, the Pommern. So, with that being said, let's check out our commander. First of all, we're running Henry J. Hyde. Big surprise, I know. We're running a full secondary spec in terms of commander inspirations. We got Haruna and Franz von Hipper. So, there's that. And then we're running Flammable Cannoneer, Aladad, Marksmanship, and Master Mechanic with Fight Fire with Fire. I highly recommend you do not go full meme build with the secondaries. I tested it on stream yesterday. Those of you who saw me on stream yesterday, you guys know what I'm talking about. If you didn't get to see that stream, I apologize. I had to take it down due to some drama that was going on in chat. So I do apologize. But yeah, we are going to go with the Aladad perk for sure. You have to have this. If you do not take Aladad, your pin is going to be garbage. You don't have the pin angles, and your AP is just going to do nothing. So fight the urge to want to go full-on meme secondary build, because I promise it's not worth it. However, with this build, it's actually decently consistent, and I don't hate it. One thing I will warn you, though, this thing has like pre-Tirpitz buff torpedo tubes, kind of like Brandenburg in that sense, even though I think it's slightly worse than Brandenburg with how quickly its torps get knocked out. But let's get into the rest. So we're running Aiming Systems Mod 1 in the first slot. I was initially running the secondary battery here, but you definitely need some accuracy on your main guns. Otherwise, they are just absolutely abysmal. So keep that in mind. Okay, we are running steering gears in Mod 2. We're running Concealment System Mod, and we are running Secondary Bad Mod 3 in the final slot, which gives us a little bit faster reload on the secondaries. So again, you can change this out if you want. I definitely wouldn't take this one because you would never have torpedoes, but Main Battery Mod 3 would be the other option potentially to help you out there, but that does nerf your traverse speed, which is already kind of meh at best. So let's get into the actual statistics. First of all, we're running the Italian Unity flag because it kind of, if you hold your tongue just right, looks like a Spartan helmet, even though we all know it's not. It does have the permanent camo that comes with the ship. We have 5 heals thanks to Master Mechanic. We've got our 3 secondary boosters, and we have our sonar. Here's the downside. It's got a great sonar in terms of its range. It has that 6 kilometer ship detection that you know and love on like Frederick de Grossa, Grossa Kurfürst, so on and so forth. Fantastic. However, it's only 60 seconds, which is less than ideal. It does mean that you have to be perfect with that if you're planning on charging a smoke screen or something like that. If you proc it too early, you're going to run out and you're not going to take full advantage of it. So keep that in mind. The sonar is very, very short duration. I say short duration. 60 seconds is not that short, but it is short. It's noticeably short, especially when you consider some of the other stats. You only get 2 of these as well, but let's look at it. So hit points, 86,320 hit points, so pretty solid. Torpedo damage reduction, 25%, so solid. Artillery, you get 380 millimeters, so 15-inch guns. That's it, which do struggle at the higher tiers. However, if you know what you're doing by now, you should be able to choose the weak spots, catch people when they go broadside, and so on and so forth. If you do that and you have the Aladad perk, you're probably going to be blapping people pretty consistently. But we have 12 of them, which is nice. So this is the first time that we have, I think this is the first time that we have 15-inch German guns that are in a 3x4 configuration, or a 4x3 configuration. So you have 4 turrets, 3 guns each, instead of like Bismarck has 2 guns per turret, 4 turrets. So you get what I'm saying. Reload time, pretty slow. It's actually stupid. I'll be real honest. You guys know I'm not a big fan of Germans to begin with, but I think honestly this thing should have had at least a 30-second reload or slightly less. I think having 15-inch guns with a 33-second reload at tier 8 and up is just stupid. I don't think that should be a thing. They're not consistent enough to be that big of a deal to be this slow of a reload. So that's my first gripe. Again, we talked about the 180-degree turn time on the turrets. Right now, it's not too bad, 36 seconds. If you add that final slot, it goes up to like 42 or something like that. So keep that in mind. Wouldn't necessarily want to take that, even if you do get to reload your guns slightly faster. Okay, HE shell maximum damage 4,400 with a 34% chance to set fires. AP shell maximum damage is 11,600. Secondary armament, you get 105mm L65 Doppel C38s. You get 16 of those, reaching out to 8.7 kilometers with this build. So still respectable, still useful, but you will notice that, you know, you're not shooting out to 11 kilometers. But what you will notice is once you get inside 8.7 kilometers and you do start using your secondaries, they're going to be more useful anyway. This thing is way more accurate secondaries than a Bismarck. Not quite as accurate as Ruprecht and those, so keep that in mind. However, this thing is better armored than the Ruprecht, so there's that. Okay, reload time for the 105s is 2.7 seconds with this build, which is fantastic. They fire HE with a maximum damage of 1,200 with a 5% chance to set fires. Secondaries, you get the 150mm L55 SKC-20H. You get 12 of those, and they reach out to 8.7 kilometers as well, reloading in just 6 seconds. 150mm guns reloading in 6 seconds. That's solid. HE shell maximum damage is 1,700 with an 8% chance to set fires. Torpedoes. You do get some torpedoes. You get one quad launcher either side of the ship. They are mounted centrally on the deck, so that means that anytime you're getting shot at, especially with high explosive, you're going to lose those torps. It's just a thing. So count on not having torpedoes when you need them. If you have them, it's a win-win, right? If you don't, like you should not count on having those torpedoes by the time you actually get in range to use them, is what I'm saying. But you get 2 quad launchers, one on either side of the ship. They reload in 90 seconds, which is pretty slow. For a 533mm torpedo, that's a slow reload, especially for Germans. But either way, 13,700 damage is pretty lethargic for a torpedo at this tier. When you consider the torpedo reduction that you're going to be getting on other ships. But that being said, it is a quad launcher. If you get those beautiful rushes on people, you're still going to mess them up with 13,700 damage. You know what I'm saying? Torpedo range is just 6 kilometers, though. Standard German torpedoes. They do not have the increased range of the Ruprecht and the German battle cruisers, so keep that in mind. But they are 64 knots, which is kind of nice, which I believe is faster than the battle cruisers. I think the battle cruisers have a slower torque, but they are longer range. AA defense is not terrible, but not great. 30mm flak 38. You get 16 times 4, so 64 of those. 229 damage per second, reaching out to just 3 kilometers. And then 105mm L65 Doppel C38s, your dual-purpose secondaries. You get 16 of those, doing 133 damage per second, reaching out to 4.5 kilometers. So the biggest issue that I have with this isn't so much that it has too little AA, it's just the range. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Most of the time, the issue with shooting down planes in World Warships Legends is that we don't have the range to shoot those planes down before they drop their bombs, before they drop their torpedoes. So that's the biggest issue in Legends with our AA, is that just we don't have the range. You'd have to go specifically into buffing the range of the AA in order to get that full effect for being able to shoot down planes before they attack you, preferably. But maneuverability is not bad. You got 31 knots of top speed, which is fantastic. You love to see that. Turning circle is Iowa-esque, so keep that in mind. Rudder shift is right there, as same as Iowa as well. So if you guys are used to playing the Iowa, now I will say this. The rudder shift on this thing is very Iowa-esque, but once this thing starts to turn, it turns better than the Iowa. I feel like this one takes a little bit longer to initiate the turn, but once it starts, just like the Bismarck, just like the Tirpitz, you guys know what I'm talking about. Once you get the thing to start turning, it cuts hard. So I do like that about the German battleships, especially Tirpitz, Bismarck, and the rest of the battleships. They do tend to actually turn once they dig in and start to turn. Concealment is middle of the road. With a concealment mod, we're running 13.7 kilometers, so you're not too sneaky. You're right there in the middle with Iowa and those, so keep that in mind. 11.5 kilometers by air, 2 is always guaranteed, and the 14.6 kilometer smoke firing penalty. Armor is the high point of this ship, and also kind of a low point. I'll talk about it. So right at the beginning, you could tell that we do have an icebreaker bow. It does wrap all the way around, so if a Yami decides to shoot at your waterline on the bow, he's not going through that. He will bounce and ricochet off the bow of your ship. However, if he aims deckline, you can see that's still 32 millimeters up there, and he can definitely still overmatch that, so keep that in mind. Those of you who play Yami, if this thing's rushing you, just aim deckline. You'll still slap the crap out of him just like you do everybody else. Do not aim waterline in that situation. Okay? Now, that being said, this thing does have some issues, and most notably, it is same issues that you have with Bismarck, Tirpitz, the Grosse Kurfürst, and Frederick de Grosse. As this thing closes the distance in a brawl and opens up the angle, going through the cheek in front of that front turret leads to catastrophic damage. It just does. So keep that in mind, okay? You can see that it does have a raised citadel that is accessible through that front, as I explained. Like, if you go through this nose, just like we always do with all the other turtlebacks, you look for that opportunity. You can absolutely citadel this thing when it's coming into torp you, okay? Because it doesn't have very good torp angles. It's not bad torp angles, but they're not great either, okay? Now, if we get rid of all of that, you can see that this thing also has the turtleback armor. Big surprise. I know it's German turtleback. It's a pretty solid turtleback, but again, if you're going broadside, you're going to get blapped. You may not give up citadel, but you're going to get blapped. So keep that in mind. But as you can see, citadel is raised above the waterline, so if you do get those shots through the bow side plating or the stern side plating, you can absolutely citadel the. And then also at range, when you get that plunging fire coming through that overmatches, or not overmatches, but comes through the top of the turtleback, that's where you're going to see these citadels as well. So anything outside of like 16 kilometers, if you get some good shots on these things when they're moving at the beginning of a match, you can absolutely ruin them at the beginning, just like Bismarck, just like Tirpitz, all those guys. Okay? So with all of that, let's check out the overview. Ironclad, above average armor thickness, greater resistance to all forms of armor penetration. Tough, above average base HP rating. And secondary reach, above average secondary battery range. So all of that is kind of true. I can't really dispute any of it. Pommern, a large, well-armed ship with powerful armor protection. It was essentially a draft design for an H-class battleship equipped with 380mm triple main battery turrets. She was designed in 1935, never built. So let's take a look at it. I mean, overall, it's a German battleship. It looks pretty good. Like, I actually like the look. I've always said this. I like the look of the German battleships. Just don't like to play them. But right here, as you guys can see, here's the main problem. Right between the stacks, you've got your quad launchers right there. Both of them. Okay? There's not much stopping them either. So what you'll likely have happen is, in any sort of brawling situation, or in fact, it doesn't even have to be a brawl, any situation where you're being shot repeatedly, whether it be cruisers, whether it be secondaries, whether it be, you know, just taking big HE hits from like Conqueror or any British battleship, something like that, you're going to have those torpedoes destroyed. These do not have the buffed Tirpitz torpedoes. So these torp tubes will be destroyed more often than not. So keep that in mind. Another thing, these turrets, while they do have decent armor plating on the face of the turret, they also have very thick barbettes. You can see the second turret sticks way up there, just like all the rest of the barbettes do for your German battleships, and the same thing for the front turret. So these tend to get knocked out really easily as well. So you tend to lose guns a lot, you lose your torpedo tubes a lot, and despite having a solid secondary, the secondaries do get knocked out pretty easily as well. There's not as many of them there. They're multi-turreted secondaries, but the turrets get knocked out relatively easily. So you will start to notice that towards the end of battle, after you've been through it, secondaries not quite as effective as they were at the beginning. Okay? But all of this being said, I don't hate this ship, believe it or not. I really don't. And running Aladad with the accuracy buff in the slot 1 equipment slot, I think that is a must. I don't think that this ship benefits from having the full secondary build. I think you definitely want to run Aladad. You want to run that aiming systems mod in the first slot so that you can use the main guns and close the distance over time. And with all of that being said, let's get to the gameplay. Hello, everybody. Oh my god, I'm an idiot. I've already done the intro. God dang it. Alright, well, I'm leaving it in because you guys might be able to giggle out of it. We are back in the Pommern here, and we're going to show you guys a couple of little quick battles that I've had. Not the best battles in the world in terms of raw damage output, but some good fights that show the strengths and the weaknesses of the ship, as well as, you know, just showcasing how quickly things can get out of hand if you're against the Pommern. Like, I'll be real honest. The first couple of times I took this out, like I said, you guys saw it on stream. If you didn't get to see it on stream, I do apologize. I'm not putting that stream up for personal reasons. But we had some pretty solid games. But the first few games, we tried a full secondary meme build. And honestly, it was underwhelming at best and downright frustrating to play. At least in my opinion. However, ever since we put the aiming systems mod on and we went with the Aladad skill, this ship has woken up, and these 15-inch guns are actually working for the most part. They still troll you. It's still German. It will troll the crap out of you, but I'm telling you, don't sleep on this thing either. If it's built correctly, this thing will slap you if you give it a chance. So keep that in mind. Now, right off the bat, you're going to see some of the downsides of this ship as we take a shot with the front guns only. That's still 6 shells going down range at the curve first. We look at that dispersion. Yeah. We managed to land 2 out of 6 shells. Sounds about right? Now, we got lucky. There's no destroyer in this one. It is a carrier game, and of course, the carrier is going to come right for me. Just the way it is. It's alright, though, because we going to return the favor. We're going to go right for the carrier. Carrier actually spawns directly off our bow, and we're just going to go right at him. Now remember, we're not a gyrating drill bits build because we're using the Aladad skill, so this thing gets to keep its maximum speed of 31 knots, which means as long as I'm not dodging and weaving, I can actually get this thing across the map relatively quickly. And it catches a lot of people off guard, especially on a small map like this, and one of the things that it catches off guard is the goofy little Hakuru that we're up against. We're gonna show up and God, see what I mean? See what I mean about the guns? Y'all think I'm joking? Between the guns and the torp tubes, you're lucky if you get. Oh my God! Hello, Hakuru. Good to see you, my friend. I think I will. And also, he manages to hit me right on the belt and not cause a flood. Thank goodness. But it doesn't matter. We're still going to trigger our damage con so we can get our gun back because we want to get rid of this guy as quickly as possible. Now, you can see our Mino is doing things and stuff. Trying to get some damage against the Hakuru. We're going to try to push up. And you notice that the enemy's positioning on the map. Yes, there's an Alaska next to the Hakuru. There's 2 Montanas and a Grossa Kerfers nearby as well. And so we got to be very careful here. Notice this little island up ahead. I'm going to use this as a, you know, a bit of a buffer zone to protect me from the bad guys. Now here we got a broadside look at an isle or at a Montana. We're going to take that shot every time, every freaking time. And unfortunately, troll RNG once again, only landing 2 out of 6 shells. So you can kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about when I say that these guns still troll you. Okay. But you can also see that we are already at the base of the enemy. Now, obviously, there's a lot of people who be like, Spartan, what are you doing? This is craziness. This is Sparta, okay? We get out here, we do things. But we're not gonna be stupid either. We managed to citadel and kill the enemy Hakuru. That's big. Gets our team a huge advantage by getting the carrier. It's a legendary carrier. Getting rid of him this early in the match is huge. So now we've got our secondaries firing away at the Alaska. Hakuru comes over to start shooting us. Notice that we're struggling with the whole shooting the planes down thing. Just one occasionally. He flies by after dropping the first set on us and then just kind of says, you know what? I can't be bothered anymore. So he's going to go after somebody else. And I believe he chooses the Conqueror of all things to drop his HE bombs on. But Alaska here, we're going to show some of the accuracy. We shoot superstructure, we land superstructure. We hit, out of all 12 shells, we managed to hit 6 of them. So that's a lot more respectable, hitting 50% of a 12-gun broadside. That's much more preferable for lack of better words. Now here you can see I'm thinking. Now I make the cardinal sin. If you're in a German battleship with torpedoes, you do not use your torpedoes until you are guaranteed to hit the person that's coming after you. Here I thought, okay, we could maybe catch this gross occur first coming in, and I could have if I'd remembered to use the sonar initially and then just waited, because he's dumb enough to come straight in. We would have easily torped the crap out of him, but instead we don't, and then we end up derping some shells into the island. We've got the Montana on the left, and at this point I have a feeling that this Kurfürst is in fact going for the ram. Now I wanted to get this thing turned around, but again, this thing turns like an Iowa. Doesn't exactly turn quickly. But look at the torp angles. The torp angles aren't terrible, but they're not great either, meaning you show your hand a little bit, and then you can see Kurfürst is closing in. You can see he's punching our superstructure. He's about to kill us. So we're kind of in a panic mode. We know he's about to ram us. I want him to ram me at this point, and I'm going to go ahead and throw some torps into the gap in hopes to catch the Montana off guard as well. And I'm hoping that a couple of these torpedoes make it through. One is going to catch the island on the right, unfortunately. One is also looking pretty good, and the other one's going to hit the island on the left. Unfortunate. Looked like we were about to get 2 hits with the torps, but we only get 1, unfortunately. But we end this game with 117,000 damage done. Now, after action, I'm not going to make you guys sit there and watch that whole battle. We ended up winning the match. We get 5th on the team because reasons, but 117,000 damage is nothing to sneeze at. And that was a very short-lived match for us, particularly. This match is going to be a short-lived match, but not because we die, but because of what we do. And this is the danger that is any German brawling battleship if you get a chance with torpedoes to close the distance. And fun fact, we don't actually get to use the torpedoes a whole lot here. We're just going to be a problem for the enemy. And there's more than one way to be a problem when you're in these ships. Remember that sonar that we talked about? It's got a 6-kilometer detectability for enemy ships. Yeah, that's going to be a problem for these guys on the enemy team, because I'm going to put myself in a position where I can charge forward, keep myself alive, put myself in a crossfire, take advantage of the crossfire, and keep the enemy lit up for my team to chunk them and get rid of them. But we're also going to showcase some of the performance of the guns, because honestly, like I said, these guns, when you use Alidad and when you use the aiming systems mod, they do wake up and they actually are effective. But once again, you'll notice that there are no DDs in this match. So that is the one caveat that I will say is, if you get into a multiple DD game, this is not the particular ship you want to be in. And I know what you're saying, well, Spartan's got long-range sonar detection, but it's a short-lived sonar. And usually by the time you get to where you need to spot something, the sonar runs out just in time to screw you over. So that's why I say, not the best when it comes to rushing destroyers. The secondaries do okay. They're not amazing. There's not a lot of them. So the huge damage potential from the secondaries is kind of meh against destroyers. They can absolutely chunk, and they do absolutely chunk. But most of the time, destroyers can just kind of sail away and be okay. But that being said, we are going to be the spotter for our team. We have a Mino and we have a Marlborough. Neither of them want to be at the front of the front of the match. Now here you can see we've got a shot at the Worcester, but we don't take it. Why? Because we only have 15-inch guns. He has a 32mm bow, which means we do not overmatch him. So what we want to do is come around the corner. He knows we have torps. He does not. He cannot afford to come straight at us because we will just torp him and kill him. So he tries to turn away, we get the front guns around the island, and we citadel him and take over half his hit points. And then we have the rear guns in place, so we're going to take that while he's angled slightly. A couple of the shells are going to get through, but unfortunately not actually do any damage. But you can see we're already on double fire, which is not ideal. We don't want to damage con it right away, but I do end up damage conning it a little earlier than I should have. And the goal here is to get behind the island to my left. There is an Alaska, there's a Kurfürst, and a Worcester here. That's a lot of firepower that can easily ruin my day. Now, Alaska is sitting here. He's begging for it. We go ahead and shoot at that superstructure. We throw the torpedoes out there to make sure that he's, keeping himself honest. If he backs up, he'll be fine. If he goes forward, we should mostly have a chance of hitting him. Now, I was feeling pretty confident we were going to get away with not getting set on fire, but, of course, GK secondaries have other plans. But we did manage to get ourselves in a position where they can no longer attack us. And that's fine, because fire damage can be healed back, so long as you survive long enough to use your heals. So we've got a broadside Kurfürst here, and this is the crossfire that I was talking about. The enemy has pushed up too far. They're in a crossfire. They don't realize that we're over here, and it's too late by the time that they do. We start landing and chunking these guys. Kurfürst knows now that he can't just sit there. He's getting chunked by my teammates, but he's also getting blapped by me every 33 seconds. So he's going to start to turn away, which is going to open him up to our teammates to do even more damage. And so here, you're going to see one of the weaknesses of the ship and the troll that I have already talked about. This guy should be dead here. We take the shot. Looks okay initially, but unfortunately, wait for it. Yeah, that's that German accuracy for you guys. Why do I play American battleships? Because they are consistent. They hit things. And I like to hit things. But no, in all reality, this thing's not that bad. Will occasionally troll you, but what else is new? It is German. It's to be expected. But it can tank quite well if you get it in a position where you can't. And if you survive, you get all those heals, you can start to heal some of that fire damage back you take on the way in. And miraculously, we managed to make it to this point without losing any of our torps, which is literally a miracle. Like, that doesn't happen. When you're up against the might of a Grosse Kurfürst secondaries, a Worcester shooting at us, and I don't know if you noticed it or not, but we did actually trigger our sonar while we were parked next to that island to spot the Worcester for our Mino to finish off. That's what I'm talking about when I say we can be a problem. Even if we don't get around the corner, we spot them with our sonar, and then we're able to absolutely ruin them. Now here you can see I'm trying to flag my team. I'm like, guys, I'm going in, so be prepared. I'm going to need some help. Let's get this, let's make it happen. So we're going to push forward. We got a shot here. A full broadside around the island. A couple of the shells hit the island. It's unfortunate, but we do manage to get most of them through, and we hit him with 6 of those shells to absolutely punish his broadside. Now, Alaska's actually in a solid position here, and I didn't think that he could lob it from this angle, but clearly he can because he's about to chunk me for my troubles. Wait for it. Bonk. Yeah, Alaska's no joke. Y'all know this. We've talked about it plenty of times, man. Alaska is no joke. But that being said, Pommern is no joke either, especially if you're broadside and giving me all of the angle. So we take a shot, a couple of them land on the island, and then we citadel them. I know, rough, right? But we take them down. And once again, we have survived miraculously with our torpedo tubes intact. Now here you can see this GK is not an idiot. He shoots our superstructure. He knows what he's doing. The game is almost over. I know, it's crazy. If we kill another ship, I think maybe it's 2 ships, but if one more ship dies, quickly, one more battleship dies, then we win this match. Now here, we come around the corner, we blap this GK one more time, and I'm thinking I'm pretty solid here. I'm like, okay, we're at an angle, he's not going to be able to do much damage to us, unless he shoots my superstructure, obviously. We take the torpedoes and place them out there just in case, and he does actually ruin us. And then I'm like, you know what, screw it, I'm not giving him a chance. I'm not waiting for those torps to hit, I'm shooting him myself. And then we hit him, and then of course, that leaves him with 5 points left, and as soon as they lose one more person, it's GG's. They didn't manage to capture any bases, so as soon as Marco Polo or one of them goes down, that's a wrap. But just like that, 106,000 damage. 2 of the 3 ships that were on our side of the map died to us. The other one died because of us, because we spotted it for our Mino. And so you can see that even when you're not necessarily going to put up the ridiculous amounts of damage, you can absolutely raffle stomp your side of the map, potentially. Top of the leaderboard, 1684 base XP and a win. Again, it was a quick match. Everybody on the team contributed, so it was a solid game overall. And I think it really does illustrate what some of the goods and some of the bads of the ship are, despite not having a huge game for you guys to show yet. I'm sure it'll happen at some point, but for now, I think it was a pretty good illustration of what you can expect out of the ship. Now, would I buy this thing for the full price? No. I do this because you guys need to see it so that you don't waste your money. And So that's why I buy them day one like this. So I make money back off of this, so that's why it's capable. I'm capable of doing it. Okay, so just keep that in mind. I bought it so that you don't have to. If you want the ship, pay the 2,500 gold doubloons, and then grind the campaign out. You will easily be able to do it, and you'll get the ship in a couple of weeks, and you'll be fine. So let me know what you guys think of the Pommern down in the comments below. Did we actually need another brawling battleship for the Germans? I don't think so. Is it a bad ship? Absolutely not. And if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.